A stranger in a counterfeit uniform pressed a pistol against my forehead and ordered me off my land. The cold steel was so close I could feel its menace. His arm was locked, fingers pale as if he fed on the control. "You're in violation," he snarled. "Pack up and go." I held his gaze. Behind him stood the home I'd sacrificed everything to own outright. No HOA, no liens, just my property, my driveway, and the peace I'd earned. Before we go further, comment below with your country. Let's see how far this truth spreads. To understand why a local candidate would send an armed imposter to threaten me off my legally owned land, you need the full picture. My name is James. I'm a former Marine. I don't advertise it. No bumper stickers, no hats. I did my duty, came home, and sought the one thing we rarely find: quiet. This place was supposed to be my sanctuary. The problem started when Clara Meeks wanted a win. She was running for president of a nearby homeowners association. Lawn signs, flyers, speeches full of empty promises. The catch? I don't live in that HOA. My land has always been outside their boundary, but Clara decided maps were suggestions when they blocked her ambition. She knocked on my door with a clipboard and a practiced smile. She claimed my property was included, that I owed back dues, and that during her campaign my driveway would be used to park supporter vans. I said no. I showed her my deed, the survey, county records. She didn't glance at them. She just smiled and said, "We'll see." 2 weeks later, the letters came. Violation notices, occupancy warnings, threats of removal, all fabricated, anonymous, and designed to scare. I threw them out. Then he showed up. Dark vest, fake badge that read HOA enforcement. He walked up my drive like he owned it, hand already near his waist. He told me I had 20 minutes to leave. I chuckled. That's when he drew the gun. "Last chance," he said. "Clara doesn't like no." In that moment, everything shifted into slow motion. I saw his stance was wrong. His grip was amateur, his breathing ragged. This wasn't authority. This was a costume. "You're committing a felony," I said calmly. "You're armed, trespassing, and threatening a homeowner." He smirked. "You don't get it. She wants this land." And then I saw the whole plan. They weren't here to negotiate. They were here to terrify me into leaving so no one would ask why Clara needed my land for her campaign machinery. And in that moment, staring down the barrel, I realized two things. Clara had no idea who I was, and this man had no idea who he was pointing a gun at. He kept the weapon leveled. No blink, no waver. 20 minutes, he repeated. "Then I remove you." "Remove me how?" I asked, my voice even. The question jarred him. Pretend cops hate being asked to explain. He swallowed, adjusted his grip, and the muzzle dipped a fraction. Just enough. "You're resisting," he spat. "Final warning." I exhaled slowly. "You have no lawful order," I said calmly. "You're on private property with a firearm. That's multiple felonies." His jaw tightened. Behind him, a black SUV idled at the curb. No front plate, dark tint, Clara's campaign flyers visible in the seat. So that was it. Use my land as a staging ground, park her people, store her signs, and if I refused, escalate until I broke. He stepped closer. The barrel touched my skin. I shifted my weight, turned my shoulder, and hammered the slide aside with the heel of my hand. The gun jerked as his finger tightened. The shot screamed past my ear. Before he could react, I was inside his guard. My forearm crashed into his throat. His grip failed. I wrenched the gun free and kicked his knee sideways. It buckled with a sickening pop. He dropped, screaming. I stepped back, now aiming his own weapon at him. "Hands flat on the ground," I ordered. "Don't move." He didn't listen. He reached for his waist. Mistake. I struck him once cleanly with the pistol's grip. He went limp, face down on the asphalt. Silence fell. My heart was steady, my breath even. Training doesn't leave you. Neighbors were outside now, phones recording. Someone shouted that police were called. I set the gun down, kicked it away, and raised my hands. The man on the ground moaned, blood from his nose, one eye swelling shut. The SUV's engine roared. It sped off. Clara wasn't staying. I looked at the fake cop, the vest, the shattered illusion. Sirens wailed in the distance. This was no longer a neighborhood dispute. It was armed impersonation, attempted coercion, and a political ambition about to implode. If this story resonated with you, like and subscribe to Winds of Thought, because what happened next was even more satisfying. The first cruiser arrived, fast, lights cutting the dusk. I stood still, hands open. The officer stepped out, hand near his holster, eyes taking in the scene. "What happened?" I said evenly. "I was threatened at gunpoint on my property. I defended myself. The gun is there, cleared." He nodded. Another officer secured the weapon and cuffed the groaning man. The fake cop tried to mutter excuses. No one listened. The first officer took my ID. "Is this your home?" "Yes." "No HOA?" "Never." He passed my ID to his partner. Neighbors gathered, offering statements. The officer looked at me, his voice lower. "Military?" I said. "Marine." He gave a single nod, understanding the posture, the calm. EMS arrived. As they loaded the imposter, a medic listed injuries. Fractured cheekbone, dislocated knee, concussion. "Lucky," he muttered. An officer approached with a notebook. "We'll need a full statement. You'll get it, plus the fake letter she sent and my property records." That perked his ears. Another cop pulled a cheap badge, a burner phone, and a folded instruction sheet from the vest. Names, addresses. Clara Meeks's name was everywhere. The officer's face hardened. From down the street, a yell. More campaign flyers found dumped. A neighbor mentioned late-night meetings and cash payments. The puzzle snapped together. By the time the ambulance left, the police weren't asking if crimes occurred. They were counting them. A detective pulled me aside. "Mr. James, you are not under arrest. This looks like clear self-defense against an armed imposter. We'll be in touch." I nodded. As the police left, the neighborhood exhaled. I stood alone on my driveway. Clara wanted my land. Clara wanted control. Clara wanted obedience. What she got was an investigation. She learned you don't threaten a Marine on his own soil. The fallout was swift. The imposter was charged with aggravated assault, impersonation, trespass, and weapons offenses. He took a plea deal, 12 years, no parole. Clara was arrested days later. Conspiracy, aiding and abetting, reckless endangerment. The HOA board dissolved. Civil lawsuits followed. Her personal assets were seized for restitution. My son asked me later if I was scared. I told him the truth. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the decision that something else is more important. That's how a woman who thought rules were for others learned a permanent lesson. Real authority isn't borrowed from a vest, and when you point a gun at the wrong person, you point it at your own downfall.